Welcome into Los Angeles, California. This is Reiter's Block, presented by Stefan versus the Game on Facebook Watch. I'm Bill Reiter, and we got a great show planned for you. Lamar Odom's going to be on the program. That'll certainly be interesting. Kevin Na, the golfer who just won his third PGA Tour event this past weekend, is going to be on the program. And we're going to circle back to the Cleveland Browns of the NBA. Yeah, more Lakers dysfunction starting right now. From the Los Angeles Lakers, it continues to go from bad to worse to incompetent to an absolute dumpster fire. The latest report from ESPN's Baxter Holmes detailing a culture of ugliness, of retribution, of incompetence, if that report is accurate. And just as a refresher of the free fall this Lakers team has been in, at least publicly, over the last month or so, we want to take you back to when Magic Johnson stepped down on the last game of the year and let the world know not only was he quitting, he hadn't done owner and supporter Jeannie Buss the courtesy of letting her know.
Have you really not told Jeannie yet?
No, I haven't. I couldn't stand and tell her. But the one thing that she had in me, somebody she could trust and loyal to her. And then I will be that as well. I've been talking to people walking here. We've been talking about next year, and I'm sitting there saying, I'm not going to be here.
If that is loyalty, I would hate to see disloyalty. So the latest report out of ESPN from Baxter Holmes details Rob Pelinka allegations that Pelinka is a pathological liar, that Magic Johnson was never around, but when he was a bullying menace who drove people to anxiety and tears, a level of such dysfunction that 40% of the employees, the everyday people who make up an organization, moved on within a year, which is a stunning number for an NBA team. And the idea and the notion that LeBron James, through Clutch Sports, his agency, Rich Paul's agent, dominated and controlled that organization, and the chaos that ensued in part stemmed from the jealousy and the anger and this view that LeBron and co. were trying to force out Luke Walton and trade half of the teammates. I'll say this. I reached out today to several Lakers sources that I absolutely trust, that have been impeccable in their accuracy and in their candor, and I got two messages from them. One, the story is basically accurate. The picture that it paints of both Magic Johnson and Pelinka from Lakers sources on the inside tell me, yes, this is a true depiction of what life is like for the Lakers organization. But one place, interestingly, and one of these sources, not a big LeBron fan, one of the lines they drew was that Rich Paul, the allegation that LeBron's agent was on the team playing multiple times, I was told today was absolutely false, that as a Lakers spokesman said in the story, Paul was on the plane once, he drove the media bus, not the players' bus, to get there, and that few of the players ever recognized that he was a part of that organization. So the notion that LeBron and Clutch Sports has created this vortex of dysfunction may not be accurate based on what I've heard, but here's what is true, and what we've learned yet again from this report, and it adds up to things that I've heard and that is water cooler talk around the NBA, and that is that Jeannie Buss, who I really like, and I've said that too often here on the show, we've had her on the program before, a friend of the show, she is over her head. She is trusting the wrong people. And in Magic Johnson, she had someone not only who betrayed her without telling her he was going to do that, but created a toxic culture that will long outlast his incompetent tenure. And Rob Pelinka, now the GM, not a beloved former agent, by the way. The guy was an agent for Kobe Bryant, good at making his clients money, not good at making friends with the GMs he now needs to trade with. The notion that he's not on the up and up, that he can't be trusted, that he's, again, creating this culture of toxicity that's going to last. It is so the Cleveland Browns. Remember, one of the things about the Browns, and maybe they're turning that ship a little bit under John Dorsey, time will tell, but certainly for this century, for the last 15, 20 years, that Browns organization wasn't just a loser in the short term. They were the kind of team, because of their dysfunction and their bad culture and the way people felt and the way things were run, it would destroy careers, and the mistakes of the past would linger for years. That's what the Lakers are becoming under Jeannie Buss. That's what Magic Johnson, some of the seeds that he planted, has helped to create. That's what Rob Pelinka still being there means for this team. I don't need Magic Johnson to go on SportsCenter and tell me and tell you, with some sycophantic reporter next to him, that he never did anything wrong. No one's going to complain about the powerful. There's too much smoke. There's too much fire. We saw Magic Johnson's bizarre I'm leaving press conference at the end of the season. The reality is the Lakers are one of the biggest jokes and biggest disasters in sports. But unlike the Washington Redskins or the Cleveland Browns, the Lakers are one of the absolutely most important brands, not just in the NBA, Lakers and Celtics, but in sports as a whole. Jeannie Buss has to burn this thing down. And by the way, the backstabbing, the ugliness, all the things we've read in the article, this was all something you could sort of figure out on your own. I'm going to throw again to another clip from Magic at that exit press conference where he didn't exactly, this was before he went on, again, ESPN, that show where they all scream at each other in the morning. Before he went on that network and tried to burn things down, he was less than supportive of Rob Pelinka even from the moment that he quit.
Do I think Rob is the right GM? That's a decision that Jeannie has to make. They said he had some back. I don't know about that, right? And so a lot of my agent friends had called. So, but Jeannie has to make all the calls. That's not calls for me to make. This is her organization.
All right, so I know it's not a sexy storyline, but it's true. And if you talk to GMs, if you talk to owners of NBA and NFL teams, you talk to players even, culture matters. What goes on behind the scenes matters. It's why the Golden State Warriors are as successful as they've been. Why, at least until Kawhi and Pop had a falling out, the Spurs were the Spurs. Why the Patriots way works at the NFL level. Why teams like the Red Sox and the Yankees and even the Cardinals have continuous success. And for the Cardinals, in their case, without the same kind of resources, because the organization that you have matters. It builds up players or tears them down. I don't want Brandon Ingram or Lonzo Ball or any of these young guys like Josh Hart coming up in this organization and this idea of the NBA. These things have lasting consequences. Now, interestingly, and this all falls on Jeannie Buss, interestingly, the one exception to the culture rule in the NBA really in this century has been teams that LeBron James has been on. He does not create great cultures, but he is so talented, it really doesn't matter. He's the exception to the rule, and that's something that GMs and league sources will tell you around the NBA. Yeah, LeBron's a pain in the you-know-what, but he's so talented, it'll work out. So Jeannie Buss may have an escape hatch here that few other teams would have if they ran their organization as poorly as Jeannie has, and that's LeBron. But he needs help. If a Jimmy Butler comes in and they get 2 years, because that will be a bad contract, of Jimmy Butler and LeBron James at the top or near the top of their games, maybe they make it work. If Kyrie Irving decides to come, maybe they make it work. But the reality is that this kind of a mistake, this kind of hiring decisions, this kind of ugliness, it has long-term consequences. It's why, breaking news today, the Houston Rockets are deciding to move on, or at least be open to moving on, from everyone on their roster and start over. Not just because it didn't work in Houston, but because Chris Paul, as we've told you on the show, is a culture killer. And the minute Paul and Harden went after each other, and there were factions, and guys didn't buy into the high usage rate of James Harden, that's the moment things go wrong in the long term. Daryl Morey gets it because he's great as a GM. Rob Pelinka doesn't because he's not. This latest report of the dysfunction with the Lakers, it's not new. It's a continuation of what we've seen since Magic stepped in front of that scrum and said, to hell with it, I'm out of here. It's also a reminder of the precarious position the Lakers are in. The ability for LeBron James to be a get-out-of-free card for organizations that are poorly run, that's going to have an expiration date in a year or 2 or 3. And if they don't find a way to win now or win soon with LeBron, the Lakers will be the Browns, a laughingstock for years and years to come. I'm going to ask Lamar Odom about this, the longtime former Laker and very tortured NBA player who's got a new memoir out. It is scaldingly honest about some of the mistakes and things that he's done. It's eyebrow-raising. We'll visit with him about that journey, about his sobriety. We'll talk some hoops with Lamar Odom when we come back to the program here in just a minute. All right, welcome back into Los Angeles, California. Bill Reiter with you here on Reiter's Block, presented by Stefan versus the Game on Facebook Watch. We're going to be joined now by one of my favorite players back in the day, 14-year NBA veteran, 2-time NBA champion, and a man who's been through a lot, who's been from darkness to light, like his new memoir, which is on bookshelves, Darkness to Light, a memoir talks about. Lamar Odom, thanks for being here, man.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
The book is scathingly candid. It's very honest. It walks all of us through some very difficult times for you. Congratulations on sobriety, and just how are you doing in life? How are you?
Well, I'm healthy and I'm happy. I'm a walker in miracle and a testimony there is a God.
The book is remarkably honest, from the anecdote about very specifically how you were able to get around drug testing for the Olympics to moments in your marriage that obviously were less than ideal for your wife at the time. Why, Lamar, why the honesty? Why the brutal candor in the book?
Well, why not? It's been my life. My life has been filled with triumph, ups and downs. But for the most part, it was therapeutic for me to tell this story.
I have loved ones and friends who have battled this kind of addiction. Some have been able, like you, to come out on the right side. Some have not. That's the nature of it. And for those folks who have gone through these things, they talk about learning a lot about themselves and learning a lot about who their friends really are. What lessons did you learn about who you are and about the people you can actually trust through this journey?
Oh, well, I've learned that my will is stronger than I give myself credit for. And of course, being an addict and an addict that's trying to stay sober, me picking the people that are close to me is really serious, something I take really serious, because in some cases, as of with mine, I was like starting to become the company that I was keeping.
People talk about the need sometimes, or if I don't know if it's to benefit Lamar, but bottoming out and how that can help. How did your turnaround occur? Was it a moment of darkness? How did you get to this point where you've written this book and you're talking about life on the better side of what you've been through?
Well, I think my daughter giving me the option to go choose rehab or talk to her. And then, of course, I always want to be the best Lamar Odom. And so I thought seeking help will help me reach that plateau.
That's incredible, man. I want to ask you a little bit about basketball. Obviously, you spent in your incredible NBA career 7 of those seasons with the Lakers, and it certainly seems like a time of chaos for that organization right now with everything that's been going on. What do you make of what's going on with that Lakers team right now?
I mean, I don't really know what's going on with the organization, but just from looking from afar, it just seems like they need consistent leadership, and the leader of the Lakers, in order for the Lakers to be successful, I think you have to look at them as just a brand. And hopefully, if they can get back to the family atmosphere, then I think everything will be all right.
Lamar, I like Jeannie Buss a lot, but I certainly have never had access to her like you did. You were around that organization. You played for that team, critical part of those championships. Yeah. Do you have any perspective or insight on what kind of an owner you think Jeannie can be based on your time around her?
Well, I would say one thing. I know she loves that team just as much as her father loved that team, and they're gonna switch it around soon, because LA is not gonna accept a mediocre product.
Yeah, no doubt. And obviously you were part of a back-to-back NBA championship team. And I think maybe people don't understand how hard it is to win one, let alone 2 in a row. And obviously the Warriors now trying to be back-to-back-to-back NBA champions. Can you give us some insight on just the difficulty of trying to win a second NBA championship?
If you've never played sports or sports professionally, you can't even fathom how hard it is to win an NBA championship, because to win a championship, you see all the highlights and the good things, but we all know in any family atmosphere, everything is not always hunky-dory, and so that's why I commend the Golden State Warriors, because they've been able to go through so much with the Draymond Green and Kevin Durant, and me thinking like an analyst that didn't know anything about Golden State's locker room or even about the man. I thought DeMarcus Cousins was gonna be a distraction to them, but I mean they just overcome everything, and I mean they were down 3 times. They were down 17 points to Portland. So if you don't like them, you have to respect the Golden State Warriors and how they go about being a team. And it's for me, in my years of watching playoff basketball, not being in it, but watching, I would say they're probably the most dominant team that I can remember besides the Chicago Bulls, just like where they're real serious, man. I commend them.
That is real praise. What is your, a lot of talk right now about where Steph Curry ranks in the game all time. What do you make of Steph and his place in basketball?
I mean, well, Steph is definitely has a place in basketball. Arguably, he's the best shooter ever, the best shooting guard ever. The only person that I can imagine shooting anywhere like him is Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. You're talking about shooting the ball from a set shot position and then off the dribble like Steph Curry can shoot it. I only think of 2 people. I mean, Larry Bird maybe, but I can't really remember Larry Bird shooting the ball off the dribble as much as Steph. And but he's one of the all-time greats at the point guard position, without a doubt.
I had this debate with actually an NBA with a Lakers source the other day, and I know it's a hard question to answer, but if you had to pick one guy higher on that all-time list, Kobe Bryant or Steph Curry, who for you would get the nod?
What? What's your question?
Who's the better player, Kobe Bryant or Steph Curry?
Come on, man. Kobe Bryant is the best player of my generation. That's easy. And Steph Curry probably would tell you the same thing. I seen Kobe Bryant hit 9 game-winning shots in one season.
All right, love it. Hey, before I let you go, I got to ask you about the big 3. We had Gilbert Arenas on the show last week. You're a co-captain with Gilbert. We love the big 3 here on the show. Yeah. Love the product. Why the big 3, and how's it feel to be back in the game?
I mean, well, of course, I love basketball. Big 3 is fast, is action paced, and for a man who's overcome being in a coma, and my memory has really suffered the most. So like remembering plays, it's probably not my strength right now. And I would say the big 3, just get up and just picking up and playing like you're in the park. So for me, it's just easy. It's easy basketball, easy way to help make a living. Why not?
Well, congratulations on that. Congratulations on the book, Darkness to Light, a memoir, and the ability, as you said, for that to be a little therapeutic for you. Very, very cool of you to make some time and to speak so candidly about your life in the book and on the show. Lamar Odom, it was a pleasure. Thanks for being here.
Thanks a lot, boss.
Lamar Odom on the show, and I'll just say this on a personal level, to go through what Lamar's gone through, to put it in a book, that is, I think, its own very special brand of courage. Very cool of him to join the show and to humor my Kobe versus Steph question. Why not? Why not go for it? All right, we from one great guest to another. Golfer Kevin Na, coming off a big win this past weekend, going to join me on the program Writer's Block when we come back to Los Angeles, California, and CBS Sports HQ here in just a minute. All right, welcome back into Writer's Block, presented by Stephen versus the Game on Facebook. Watch that Lamar Odom interview. That was something, as you would expect that it would be. A different kind of interview was one that I had earlier in the day when I caught up with Kevin Na, the PGA Tour golfer, just won his third career win. Really fun guy, interesting dude, gave us some insight on Pebble Beach. I enjoyed the talk. I think you will too. Here it is. Kevin Na, thank you for joining us. You're 27th in the FedEx Cup standings, 31st ranked in the world, and you just came off a win. Congratulations.
Thanks, Bill.
How do those? You're a professional golfer, and I think people sometimes watch the Brooke Koepkas and the Tiger Woods and assume it's easy and everybody wins majors and everyone wins golf tournaments. But the reality is, you are playing with the 1% of the 1% of the 1% of the world at what you do for a living. You're among that group. For you, what are those moments like for it's your third time when you've actually won a golf tournament on the PGA Tour?
It's never easy to win on the PGA Tour. The competition is very, very tough out there. And for the average guy like me versus the Tiger Woods of the world, and it's very difficult. And every time you win, you try to cherish that moment and remember as much as you can. I've had 3 wins in 16 years, and I've had a pretty good career. I've been pretty consistent in my career, but 3 wins, that's still pretty good for me. But as you can see, for 16 years, that's pretty gapped out. So it's definitely not easy. I hope to win many more tournaments, but when you can, you got to take advantage of it and take that chance.
All right, I'm not a car person, but apparently your caddy is, and he is the master of timing because he knew the value of a 1973 Dodge Challenger. Can you tell us what transpired with your caddy and the car that I presume is now his?
Yes. So Kenny Harms, my caddy, has been working for me for 11 years. We've had a great relationship. We've had a lot of success together. And we got to the tournament, and on Tuesday practice round, he looked at the car and he told me, he goes, "You win this week. I want that car. Can you give that car to me?" I said, "Whoa." I said, "You want that car?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Kev," he goes, "you got a fast car at home. You don't need that one." It says, "But I think that'll look good on me. Can I have it?" I said, "You know what? I win the tournament. The car is yours. You can have the car." So when I made the putt on the last toe and the car's across the hazard on the other side of the water, I pointed at him and I said, "That car's yours. Man of my word." So he's getting the car.
And apparently, I was told by people who are gearheads in a way that I'm certainly not, that is a very valuable car nonetheless.
Yeah, they told me they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars restoring it, and it's obviously only worth what somebody's willing to pay for, but it's definitely well over $100,000.
All right, well, good for him and good for you. Everybody in this world, as we chase our dreams, has various skills that help us. And there's a video we want to show you that dubs you the master of the walking putt. Even Tiger Woods. I mean, I'm an amateur golfer, and I'm wondering if maybe in a bad one, I'm wondering if maybe I need to start working on this swagger, this confidence, this Happy Gilmore style walking the ball in to the hole. There's Tiger doing it. Where does this come from? Where does this move come from?
I've always done it as a kid growing up as a junior golfer, and more into my professional career. It's just a reaction when I hit a really good putt and I just start chasing it, chasing the ball, and I walk it in. And this thing kind of blew up when Tiger did it at the Players, when he imitated me. And it's been gone all over social media. I see guys, tagging me, the walk-in, the Wednesday walk-in, Kevin Na challenge, a lot of hashtags. And it's been a lot of fun watching it on social media and people trying to imitate me. And there's some funny ones, too, where they chase after the ball and they miss. And I think those are really funny.
Yeah, if you're gonna do the Kevin Na challenge, you gotta succeed. You gotta make that putt. All right, we've got a U.S. Open that's going back to Pebble Beach, and we know sort of the storied history of that course. I've been lucky enough to be there. It's beautiful. You've played it. Can you give us a sense of the challenges of the course, why it's so difficult, and whoever wins at that major, what kind of golf, what style of golf, what you need to do well over those 4 days to have a chance?
Pebble Beach is a beautiful golf course. I was able to play there in 2010 U.S. Open, and every year, or almost every year, I play the Pebble Beach Pro-Am there, AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am there. But the golf course totally changes. You look at the scores for 4 rounds. I know we only played two out of the 4 rounds at the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, but the winning score, the guys are shooting 5, 6, 7 under. But during the U.S. Open, the golf course totally changes. The rough is up, the fairways are moved in, the rough line is moved in. And, even par's a good score. I'd say if you shoot 1 under a day, you got a really good chance. And I mean, it's a beautiful golf course, great golf course. It doesn't fit just one person. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it, and maybe getting a chance to win the U.S. Open.
As you said, you've had a very, very successful career. I believe you finished 7th at the 2016, I think, U.S. Open. Great finish at a major. Can you, and we watch it at home as fans, we feel the nerves as fans, particularly for folks in competition on Sunday. As a guy that plays golf for a living, can you give us a sense of how a major does or doesn't, whatever it feels like, feels different, what those moments are like when you step foot out there on the first tee and you get to it?
Obviously, you want to win any tournament, PGA Tour tournaments to any tournament you can get a chance to. But a major is different. Major changes your career. A major changes your status as a player. So when you tee it up in a major, everyone is wanting to win, and it's a different vibe. You get on the first tee, the atmosphere, the crowd, and people know what they're playing for. All the players, when they show up to the first tee at the major, it's a different feeling. You try to make it the same as any other tournaments, but you just can't help yourself because you know what's on the line. And every time I play the major, I'm very excited to play. It doesn't matter if I'm third week into it or fourth tournament in a row. You're really excited to be there, and your bloods are pumping, and it's a good feeling.
So for at least, Kevin, the majority of my adult life, one of the great sports odysseys has been Tiger Woods' quest for 18 and to at least tie Jack's mark with 18 majors. And obviously for a long time we thought that was almost a given. Then it felt like it was over. It was never going to happen. And now we're in this really interesting place, having seen Tiger win at Augusta this year. You've played with the guy. You follow golf obviously closely. You're a high-level professional. What do you think the likelihood is that Tiger Woods will end his career with at least 18 major championships to his resume?
You asked me this question last year, I would have said there was no chance. But if anybody can do it, it's Tiger, obviously. But the way he came back and won the Tour Championship last year, and then to win the Masters this year, was a game changer. Everybody then started questioning, is 18 in the question? And I think it is. I know he didn't play very well at the Bethpage Black, but I think Pebble Beach, obviously he's won there before. I think it's a good golf course for him where he doesn't have to hit too many drivers. He can hit a lot of irons off the tee and keep it in play. And I think he'll contend the U.S. Open.
Kevin Na, really enjoyed the conversation. I'm taking up the Kevin Na challenge on my Sunday weekly game with my buddies. And good luck, and thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Bill. It was fun.
All right, that's all she wrote, at least for today. I'm Bill Reiter. This is Writer's Block. We appreciate you being here. Hope you're back with us tomorrow at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific. CBS Sports HQ and all the info you need, sports fans. It continues in mere moments from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and then in 30 minutes, Sports Line will take over. See you tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out.